What's going on, YouTube? Just want to do a quick update for y'all. Just want to let y'all know what's been going on with the car. Added an extension, I guess is what you could call it, to the cowl because the rain kept getting in. That's 7 inches from about here to here, and clears the windshield perfectly. Wipers too. And I think, which is essential for all T-top cars, you gotta black out the all this right here. I guess the frame around the windshield. I just think it kind of looks like the 4th gen cars, which, you know, it just looks a little sleeker. And I'll show you what's been going on under the hood. Okay, so on the motor, we made a move to a 4160 600 CFM Holly. The power valve's the same. Changed the jetting. I think the jetting's correct. It's 66 in the primaries and 73s in the secondaries. It does have a secondary metering plate conversion. It had the metering plate on it before, but it was a little lean at wide open throttle. So just ended up stepping up about, well, it's 67 to a 73 jet, so about 6 jet sizes. And I got the electric choke and the fast idle all dialed in. The fast idle is set to about 1,000 to 1,100. And the choke is actually just a factory setting, but it is operational. I'd had this thing stick actually because I tried a different air cleaner on it and it fouled out all my plugs. It's still got the same plugs in it, so they're not great, but that's what I got for now. Might have noticed the valve covers look kind of nice, or cleaner I guess, than the last video, and that is because they are painted. Now they are painted with the same paint, but they're prepared 2 different ways, and I think that's why I have 2 different finishes, because you can see on the air cleaner it's a little dull, and actually you can't really tell on camera, but it's got like a texture to it. And okay, so they're both stripped down the same way with the wire wheel on a drill, but when I prepped the air cleaner lid, I just wiped it down with acetone and I sprayed it, and so it's a little dull and it's got a little bit of a texture. But the valve covers I took inside and washed with good old Dawn dish soap, both of them, and they clean up good. I didn't fix any of the dents. There's a gigantic one right there. Couple more, so be it. They do not hit the rock arms. That's all that matters. And I feel like helped the car visually, or the motor visually. The distributor, some not really high-tech stuff, so I didn't change anything internally. All I did was I put a pretty much a set screw. And it wasn't even it's not a set screw, it's just a stop pretty much for the Advance. So I limit the travel of the Advance, and I put the lightest springs I could in it, and I'm happy with the results. So what I ended up having is 21 degrees of timing at idle, so about 780 to 800 RPM, and 31 degrees in by like 1950 to 2000. And that's because the it actually doesn't have just 10 degrees of travel. That's just what it looks like when it's running, because the springs are so light. It adds a little bit of, the centrifugal forces add a little bit of, they open the springs a little bit, so it adds a little bit of timing. I think it's somewhere around 14 or 15 degrees of actual the amount of advance it has. So and it does have, I run ported I run the vacuum advance to a ported vacuum source. I don't use the one below the throttle blades. I don't know, it kind of seems right, you know what I mean? I mean, you want it to add ignition timing under part throttle applications, you know, not wide open throttle, because of course vacuum drop off to 0, but at part throttle it's hooked up to the vacuum port. And there's also a limiter there. I really like that one. So it's like pretty much a cam plate. It's about $3 from Crane Cams. Completely worth it. It's an adjustable unit, but I could not get any adjustment out of it, and it ended up being something ridiculous. Like it was adding like something like 20 degrees, and I didn't like it, so I limited it down to 14, and you can actually vary it in increments of 2 degrees with each step of the camshaft. You might be able to see the plate. Oh man. Okay, so that plate right there, I've never tried cleaning this thing. There's a plate right there, and that is what limits the travel of the vacuum advance. So it makes it really snappy with that much ignition timing in it. I really like it. It might be too much considering it's a stock camshaft. The car has a few issues around it being a stock camshaft and a stock torque converter that I think is too tight for it is right now. So anyway, no big deal. Working around. There was one revision to the cooling system. The only revision we made was adding a bypass for the water pump. So this is a Vortec block, an L31 block, and complete motor, L31 motor. And there's no water pump bypass because it's built into the intake manifold from the factory. I actually have the intake manifold over here. Let me show you. That is the stock, what's going on? That is the stock water pump bypass. It's built into the intake manifold. Yeah, we had to add that because they do not have the hole. Usually on these small blocks, there's a hole cast in for the water pump down here, and there's one in the cylinder head on this side and the block. And it's an internal bypass. Do not have that in this case. It is unopened. It can be modified in the future. Just not right now. Everything else is the same. I got the choke working. That's nice. The jetting, the idle mixture screws I think are correct, but I have been having issues lately. I think I had a blown power valve at some point in time. I was changing it because I was getting different readings on my vacuum when I would measure vacuum to tune the idle mixture screws. But when I added all that ignition timing, it gave me a lot more vacuum, I guess. It was reading more vacuum. It was producing more vacuum. So I put a bigger power valve in it, like to open sooner. So I went from an 8.5 to which I think was blown. I had sunk a float because I messed with the float adjustment screws, or I just made float adjustments and I stuck it all the way down because I've been trying to adjust. I adjusted it wrong and I almost tore up the motor. But so the secondaries crack open and start popping and banging, and I think it blew out the power valve in the front. I'm not too sure if that's the case, but it seems to have cured a rich issue I'd been having. It was idling super fat, and I tried turning the mixture screws in all the way and it would kill it, so I was like, that might not have been it. But when I changed it, you know, it's not as fat anymore at idle. So let me just fire it up for you. It's a lot better now. The motor is cold. And grab all the headers. There's actually no fuel in the filter, so I just pop the fuel pump on for a few seconds, shut it off, and then we fire it up. Get in there, bud. The interior is updated. Yeah, it's made out of a plate, and I fully recommend these radios for anything you're on a budget with. They're literally $20, and they don't come with CD players anymore. They're super small, compact, really light. Highly recommend them. Get in, bud. Get in. His dog give me hell if he's outside the car when it's fired up. So okay, so this is how I've been tuning the air fuel mixture. I've been using the AEM wideband gauge, and they sell a sensor with it. It's kind of a piece of shit. I noticed that if you don't let the sensor warm up before you fire the motor up, it won't work. So let's try it. Turn the fuel pump back on. Idle's coming up. It's running a little strange, but at the touch of the key, that is not bad. Not great, but not bad. That's better. 1,000 RPM, and we are on the fast idle cam. 60 pounds of oil pressure. And let me remind you, completely unopened junkyard motor other than the intake manifold. So that's with 117,000 miles on it. You know, fresh, still pretty new. There's a little bit of slack out of the timing chain, I'm sure. Sure, make it a little more horsepower in stock. Yeah, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be cold for a while. Let me get down off the cam one step. Hello there. It's gonna be running all right. I'm not gonna rev it right away. Still warming up. Go check out Uncle Tony's Garage YouTube channel. It's been a big help. Thank you. Got in a header leak. I have header gaskets. I got some steel ones, some shim ones. Supposed to be for stock manifolds. Hopefully they feel good. Other than that, it's all right. Sounding good. A little bit of a stumble when I cracked the throttle. There it is, settled down. And choke is open. Looking good. Alright, y'all, that's all I wanted to show y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more.